If it comes to the massive commercial and critical success of the Elden Ring, had players wanting for more content in the form of paid DLCs. With exciting rumors circulating from day one, we hope From Software could continue the tradition of releasing vast expansions as they did for the rest of the Sourceborne franchise. Fans like myself who have sat with a simple poster of the Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree expansion for months now, and further news could be still very much a few months away from us. But there is still a few things that we know for a fact if it comes to the Elden Ring. In this news outlet of the Elden Ring, we're going to talk about every single thing that we know about this franchise, what we can expect from the next DLC, or what could it be all about. Of course, knowing the trajectory of the previous titles. But before we can continue into this news feed, and what I like to ask, plus half of you gamers out there who like our content is not subscribed to the channel. If you like this content, do not forget to press a like, give us a thought in the comments down below, subscribe yourself to the channel, and of course hit the notification bell. You don't miss any single thing that we do drop if it comes to news feed, let's play, gameplay walkthrough, live streams, and etc. We do in abundance if it comes to the channel itself. It helps us navigating the YouTube algorithm severely, and of course help us grow as a channel itself. Anyway, so thank you very much, and let's go. So as a fan of From Software itself, we have a lot to look forward to if it comes to the next franchises coming. Armored Core 6 Fires of Widerstorm is just around the corner, and its marketing to look be ramping up, leading towards its launch itself. The Elden Ring will be receiving a downloadable content if it comes to an expansion titled The Shadow of the Erdtree, sometime just after that. And some rumors even claims that the developers is actually working into another game. While the Elden Ring new content seems very far away, the increased presence of the modern From Software design in Armored Core 6 should keep us and form of a community occupied for quite some time. So that also means, us as fans, there's a lot of places that the Elden Ring DLC could actually go. For one is the Shadow of the Erdtree poster teases a connection between Mikolai and the spectral steed turrets, and several other loose existing threads from the base game itself, including the true nature of Milena, the Gloom-Eyed Queen, the Prince of Death. However, with only the poster and absence from the base of the Elden Ring to speculate with, nobody actually knew for a fact what the Elden Ring should be or is going to be about if it comes to the DLC of the Shadow of the Erdtree. When is going to get a proper announcement? It assumes that we will get at least a form of information somewhere after Armored Core 6 is out. But it doesn't necessarily mean that a news outlet is very close by. When the community next hears about the Shadow of the Erdtree depends on when the expansion will be released. According to the final financial reports from a software owner, Kadoa Corporation, the Elden Ring DLC is not expected to be launched in this current fiscal year. That also means we need to expect it somewhere in March 31, 2024. That means Shadow of the Erdtree will probably be missing the Elden Ring secondary anniversary. But that is alright if it has multiple DLC worth of content coming out, at least according to the different form of leakers out there. One of the most important leakers, of course, is Segura Dubi, who found different form of clues and form of codes of the Elden Ring patches featuring information of potential upcoming content. There's updates, contents refers towards new items, hairstyles, all the way to 30 new bosses, 60 new NPCs we can interact with, and something that's called Someone Yet Unseen has been spotted within the data miners itself. So that means all these rumors though had fans assuming that the paints 24 as a potential release of the Shadow of the Erdtree. But that doesn't mean that we won't hear of the Shadow of the Erdtree of anything about the Elden Ring in 2023. The Summer of Convention is still going, and there's several suspect dotting of the years to come. The July San Diego Comic Con is unlikely to be released any single thing comes to the Elden Ring itself, but the news can be appearing a month later if it comes to Gamescom, with the beginning opening night's live show on August 22, acting as the European equivalent to the E3. Gamescom tends to focus on titles who have been already announced. That might be a very unique way for Armored Core to get a very last minute trailer, but also be a very good place to announce the Elden Ring DLCs. However, The expansion just being mentioned is not what we fans truly want. A chance of a trailer dropping for Shadow of the Erdtree will only go up over time, and moving away from Armored Core 6 should help with that. The first major event after Gamescom is the Tokyo Game Show at 2023, running from September 21 to September 24, which could feature the Elden Ring trailer. On top of that, Bandai Namco will probably gonna launch Dragon Ball Budokai Tenkaichi 4, Naruto X Boruto Ultimate Ninja Storm Connections. But the DLC doesn't mean demanding a grand stage if it comes to the presence itself. We could have a very simple reveal in form of a panel dropping locating trailer online surface somewhere. Operating under the assumption that Shadow of the Erdtree will release in April 24 somewhere, or maybe short afterwards, the Game Awards 2003 might be the last big show that could feature all of that. Bearing anything like this state of play presentation from Sony itself, this is where it could be the best expecting, as we can expect of course the Shadow of Erdtree DLCs to launch, or at least have a form of an idea where it can be launched. If it comes to the story of the Shadow of the Erdtree, we within Punkaza TV, we speculate only by looking at the artwork right now what's been announced for Shadow of the Erdtree expansion. Since it looks like the Erdtree is shard and dying, there is some speculation that this might be taking place after the main game and continuing the narrative itself. It will be interesting to explore the aftermath of the player's choices at the very end of the game. Additional to the speculation that the long-haired, blonde-haired figure riding Torrens in the image is actually Mikola, Lord and brother of the favorites Elden Ring boss we all love, Malenia. And if you remember fighting Morg, Lord of the Blood, then you recall that the cocoon behind him was meant to contain Mikola. Since we never actually interacted with Mikola into the game itself, it will be very cool to see him appear in an expansion, especially if he is an health NPC. After all, the majority of his backstory involves trying to save his sister from the Scarlet Rot. So he got to be good, at least what we hope for, right? Unless he's very pissed for us killing his sister. Oopsie daisy. Beside all of that, there is another speculations of what or who might be into the figure itself. We do know that Rani and Melania are acquaintances when it comes to Torrens itself. Regardless how we see the picture itself, the key to everything is Torrens' importance right here. Must lie how you summoning this creature, this mount. After the event of the Elden Ring, many fan theories speculates it's gonna be around Melania, Rani, Marika, of course, Mikola itself. But the thing we have to get going on and ask ourselves what is going on here in this picture. Assuming that the Erdtree in this artwork doesn't look very healthy, and this one is rotten and shard, at the end of the Elden Ring you either have the choice to burn the Erdtree yourself or leave the deed up to someone else. But one way or another, the tree is kindling. Suppose it's not our Erdtree. True, From Software may be pulling an old bait and switch upon the close inspection. Some Elden Ring lore heads think that there's two trees in the backgrounds. That's not super obvious, but it gives a computer a hand streets, and boy, if you look very closely, you can start considering that the Erdtree is a certain form of a parasite itself. But when does this game actually took place, that we're all asking ourselves, even for myself. There's a few possibilities we have as a community. If the DLC takes himself post the game, we're probably looking for at the remains of the Erdtree after the Tarnish burned the game itself. Like I said, the continuity of the story itself. But if it takes himself in a prequel, then we are talking about the works, what we know of the Lands Between and the Aquaine's timeline. If the expansion takes the Queen Marika Road, the story could explore the early days of the Erdtree and the Golden Order, delivering a very young Marika in an unfamiliar way. It also can have a possibility that the story is talk about Mikola itself and her journey to save her sister and his fascination to the Golden Order itself, and his road and his journey to cure Millennia itself. Beside all of that, of course, how he eventually created the unalloyed golden needle, and etc. The entire journey to that exploration of his. Beside every single thing, there's a few other possibilities if it comes to the Shadow of the Erdtree, if we're thinking about the possibility of the characters left and right. First up is Mikola, the godly brother of the legendary deadly swordman and goddess of the wrath, Millennia. Mikola, like I said, is mentioned a lot in the Elden Ring, but never probably seen right now. He is the best at the most mysterious figure and identity, cursed with the eternal youth, unable to reach adulthood. Mikola tried to cure both the cure of his sister and herself by creating the Erdtree and entering in a coma inside of the cocoon. However, Mark steals Mikola, sleeping body away, and has been waiting for him to wake up ever since, hoping to become his consort and gain the power through their union. That's a possibility if it comes to the possible DLC. The secondary character that we think when casted has a very affiliation if it comes to the story of the Elden Ring is nothing more than Fia, the deathbed companion. The friendly hug lady who hangs around the round double hold has her own quest focused around death, decay, and the return of the undead god. While her quest officially fully comes to fulfillment in the core game, it's entirely possible that she comes back. Like in the picture, Fia is a blonde under her hood, but when the shots take a closer look into this, especially the bleak area around it, it's a possibility she's on her way to take advantage of the general necromantic and anthropomorphic vibes of the area. The third character that we think is, of course, is Millennia herself. Yes, the super boss Millennia, and we know she isn't a blonde, but let me get you into that. She has a red hair like her father, we all can concur on that, but there's an entire possibility that she not always was like this. A demigod cursed with a scarlet rod by a greater deity. It's a possibility we're seeing a past or future version of Millennia without the wrath. Maybe Millennia was a blonde like her mother or brother, only gaining red hair to match her dad when the curse kicked in. I'm just saying. The other possibility, of course, is the eternal beautiful Queen Marika. The true queen of the lands between, and the Queen Marika is a blonde figure whose hair is seen, of course, in the intro of the game itself, matched to the figure that we've seen pretty close to what who's riding Torrent itself. She's an odd godly presence and, of course, the queen of the lands between. Marika's fates change depending on what ending you choose as a tarnished in the Elden Ring. But again, we wouldn't put the past from software to the DLCs set far in the past or the future. She's also heavily associated with the Erdtree, so that makes a lot of sense for her involvement in some shape or form. And the last candidate we had also thought may be the person that we see within this picture of the Shadow of the Erdtree, if of course is Millennia. Well, the figure is a blonde hair, and of course obviously Millennia isn't. The Finger Maiden, the lady who helps us leveling up, there's a couple of facts that give us a little pause. Like I said, Millennia and Rani are very much associated if it comes to Torrent itself. She is the character that gives you control towards Torrents, as the only character really associated with the Horned Horse itself. And secondly, the larger prevalence theory that Millennia is a secret daughter, of course, of Marika. So if she embraces her heritage a little more, that might be a reflection of a visual aspect from her hair turning back to the golden locks like her mother. But of course the question you need to ask yourself, another question, is the thing that we're seeing right here in the picture of Shadow of the Erdtree, is it truly Torrents? But that's another speculation. Beside every single character we may think that will become essential if it comes to the story of the Shadow of the Erdtree, there's another aspect we need to take a closer look if we take the trajectory of From Software and its former DLCs. The DLC of Bandonamic of the last two games from Software, Dark Souls 1, 2 and 3 featured DLCs that extended the ending of the base game. However, it did so without contradicting or changing ending of the players who had unlocked before. Let me explain. The Three Crowns DLC for us Dark Souls veteran or the Dark Souls 2 allow us the player to complete an additional quest. Once all 3 of the packs has been completed, which unlock a new ending, this is one essential give the player a third option on top of linking or rejecting the fire, if we remember correctly. Those who completed Dark Souls 3 DLC pack were treated with a complimentary ending on which sat alongside any other ending the player had unlocked by playing the base game. This one essential offered the character a way to escape the dying world by entering a painted world. It will be interesting to see how the Elden Ring DLC impact the game various ending or the world we explore itself. Another big possibility if it comes to the DLC bosses, and if we take a very close look and really analyze the situation of the entire Elden Ring, even if we hunt down every single shard bearer in the Elden Ring, there always has been one demigod that escaped our round of decapitations if it comes to the Elder Lords, and that's Mikolai the Alloyed, who safely slumber inside his egg when the critics roll out in the end of the game. Mikolai is Melina's twin brother, as we mentioned previously and quite often in this podcast of ours, is said to be the most powerful demigod of the entire Elden Ring. So if that is truly the case, why didn't we have fought him early on? One of the answers is can be obtained by a shard of the Elden Ring by killing his captor and half-brother Mark, the Lord of the Blood. There was no need for us to bother with him then. Even though Gideon even mentioned that we should leave Mikolai in peace. But for us could be a little bit short-sighted. But then we have to take a closer look how For Software truly put everything into motion. For Software doesn't do any single thing by accident when it comes to its Souls bosses. Therefore we suspect that Mikolai's absence is by design. Let's not forget that the demigod is slumbering in his egg, becoming more powerful enough to fix his family, and especially most importantly his sister, who he has aimed to cure the Scarlet Rot. He's unlikely to be pleased when he wakes up to find out the new Lord of the Land Between has risen and slaughtered the entire family, including Melania itself, his beloved beautiful twin sister. That would make the perfect position of Mikolai to be the big bad on the Elden Ring DLC itself. Not only he's growing in power, but he's also going to have the grudge against the Tarnished once he realizes what truly happened. And we can continue speculating left and right how and what the DLC can be about, and what we can expect, of course, if it comes to the game itself. When it comes to the gameplay, a few things, we should not expect a major change if it comes to the gameplay itself. We can expect more new weapons, armor, items, quest bosses, and quest arenas, and more. We can expect like a form of a brand new area, like in the DLC of Bloodborne itself. That's probably going to be the new expansion is going to be. We can also expect a brand new, at least multiple expansion coming out after the Shadow of the Erdtree. There's a few options that we may think if it comes to Shadow of the Erdtree future DLCs. It could be the mystery of Between the Clouds and the Divine Towers. The Shadowing and the Night of the Black Knives is also a possible DLCs, and the Greater World and the Rise of America. And all of these storyboards that's officially hasn't been told yet or explained yet in a proper way when it comes to the grander story of the Elden Ring. We know within From Software, when he won the Game of the Awards, the Game of the Year awards, Miyazaki stated very clearly that this is not the end if it comes to the Elden Ring itself. There is a lot more stories to tell. And like I said, beside the Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree, there is mention of another game in the works as well, or it could be Elden Ring 2 or another standalone IP from Software itself, or maybe even more DLC past Shadow of the Erdtree. But even though you're gonna hear it here firsthand within Pankasi itself, Hopefully you guys did enjoy this content, and if you did, do not forget to press a like, you comment and subscribe to the channel. And by doing so, you help us channel moving forwards. By subscribing yourself, you help our channel reach another new echelons. Pressing a like, of course, give us the boost that we need to navigate the algorithm of YouTube itself, and of course giving your thoughts and feedback in the comments down below what you personally think that the DLC is going to be about. Am I right? Am my assumptions where the DLC is going to be where it's going to be about? Everything it mentions here with this podcasts, and of course fan theory, and of course discussion with it as a community itself. Am I correct? Are we going to have more than one DLC after the Shadow of the Erdtree? Is going to be an extended storyline of the previous ending, or of course it's not, we're going to see not only Marika but Melania and all the rest being the main protagonist if it comes to who we're seeing in the picture itself. Who do you actually think is actually here? Am I right or am I wrong? Let me in the comments down below. Anyway, so thank you very much, merci beaucoup, and I'll see you all very very soon. Until the next one. I'm your host, Punkazit. If you have any form of question, you can always reach me on Discord, Twitter, Twitch, and of course between every single video I drop in the comments down below. I'm always there to answer every single one of them. Like usually, it's only about one love only. Thank you very much, merci beaucoup, et à plus, ciao ciao.